Welcome back, everyone, and we have one more match to go here in Group B. One seed left for the round of 16. Of course, Hydra moving on as most people expected, but right now it's going to be a fight between two players for that last spot. And we'll have to take a look at the bracket. Just for anyone who's tuning in right now, they're like, oh, well, Hydra, I expected that, but who else is left? Who can move on to the round of 16? Well, let's take a look at how it all started off in Group B here in the beginning. Of course, Elfi and Starbuck coming through. Elfi goes forward, did just now lose to Hydra, but he's going to be down here and now meeting up with Kelazhur. Kelazhur super prepared for Starbuck, holds it all off, holds the roaches, and then he says, all right, now I'm ready to play one more match to see if I can make it to the round of 16. So let's talk about that a little bit. Kelazhur, very well prepared against Starbuck, but Elfi, a little bit of a curveball here for Kelazhur, or anyone in this group, and himself, of course, for that matter. What do you think we're expecting to see from Kelazhur?
Well, both these players share an experience. They both had a fairly easy time with Starbuck. I mean, we saw a little bit of a trip up from Elfi, but otherwise it was pretty clean. And then both got summarily put down very hard by Hydra. So I feel like this is the coming of Destiny, and I'm excited about this because I think these are the two players that would vie for that second place spot. I think Starbuck, on paper, has had his chance in the past. He was upset even Bunny from Team Liquid, a very, very good player. But in practice here, we saw that perhaps he was a little bit outclassed by these two guys. So what to expect? Kelazhur is going to be, I feel like, pretty straight up. I mean, we've seen that. Even against Hydra, where he was outmatched a lot, he did not try to do anything too tricky. He just kind of kept to his ways, and it looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, do you think we can expect the same there? And in that case, do you think Elfi, just maybe similar to what he tried against Hydra, that he's going to try to throw another curveball? Because it's like, well, if I've gotten to this point, I still have a shot at going to the round of 16. It would be a pretty cool story.
I don't think Elfi's PvT is as bad as his PvZ, to be honest. Elfi has always been a player, of course, that's shined in PvP. There's a lot of mind games. There's a lot of low micro situations that occur. All in all, it's a battle of mind games right now. It's the same thing like Starbuck. If it goes into the mid game on even terms, I feel like Kelazhur is very heavily favored. But at the same time, like Elfi himself, he just tweeted, let's see how many times I proxy gate against Kelazhur. Like, he's playing into that meta right now that, he's saying, you know what, I can do anything. And Kelazhur, he's got very good TVP. I played him recently, actually, for just an online cup. He's very, very solid.
Yep.
Uses Widow Mines a lot. He's a great player. It's going to be up to Elfi to kind of mix it up, I think.
I mean, yeah, it did seem like even in his game against Hydra, Kelazhur, as you mentioned, in control, he knows what to do. He knows what the standard ways are. He was a little bit outclassed simply because Hydra's so amazing right now in the WCS. But Kelazhur, he's all around, well-rounded, well-prepared in this matchup. Now, Elfi, I like that you brought that up. Like, he's playing into that meta right now himself. I mean, he's kind of a rogue agent right now in Group B. It's like, well, we're playing against Elfi. What can we say? It's like, well, I don't know. Elfi, he could go off anywhere. He could go off the walls right now, bring something home. But as we mentioned before, it would be really a neat story for either one of these guys to make it to the round of 16. Something to really take back home.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was Rotterdam that said earlier, none of these guys have been to the round of 16. It's kind of a big deal. And, Elfi's a little bit more of the kind of wizened older bunch. He's been around since the beginning. He's played Warcraft 3 professionally. So he's, he's been to these tournaments and he's done fairly well. But he's here as a replacement as well. That's kind of cool. It's like he didn't expect to be here, but yet here he is in the decider match. And on the flip side, Kelazhur from Brazil, he'd be the first Brazilian player to make it this far at all. And he's a young guy, and he's getting good results as well. So it's just kind of, that's what WCS, I feel, is about, is getting players in these positions where it's like, guys, you're going to win some meaningful money, and you're going to travel and see the world, and you're going to compete at the highest levels. And that's what WCS is offering for these guys. So this is the closest and most fun match for me here in Group B. Group A, we had a little bit more controversy. It was a lot closer, I felt. Polt, I have to agree with Hydra, by the way. I do not think Polt is like leaps and bounds better than everybody else. I mean, Huck in particular was talking about yesterday, like there was some chances there. It's like, hey, Polt, shape up, buddy. But Hydra, like, I felt kind of bad because in these broadcasts, even the players, you could see on their faces, they're like, okay, yeah, Hydra, get out of here. Go on. Go to BlizzCon, you jerk. Like, yeah, jeez.
Yeah, of course, as you mentioned, Hydra is 100% confirmed. At this point, it's really just a fight for seeding and to secure a higher seed for himself with the points that he gets. Well, and money, too, of course. Yeah, prize money. But right now, for these guys, it's really a matter of pride. As you mentioned, for Kelazhur, what a moment it will be if he can say, first Brazilian player, put Brazil on the radar, I mean, overall, but now in WCS to say that, it's like, all right, well, Brazil's now been in the WCS round of 16. We've been in the top 16 players around the world. That's quite the feat for him to accomplish here in the season.
Especially because he's such a new player.
Yeah.
He isn't someone that's been around the scene for a long time. He really just started popping up as probably one of the better NA Terrans, if not, top 2 maybe.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's there at WCS, and he could be going to round of 16. I think he's a strong favorite. And then on the other hand, we got the only guy that's going to honestly play in a suit jacket. And, he wasn't expected to be here. But all in all, he's willing to take risks, and more importantly, he had no expectations.
Yeah.
Which kind of plays into, you know what, this is all good for me. I wasn't even supposed to be here, and now all of a sudden I'm making good money. He even tweeted earlier today he expected to take one map.
Yeah, I mean,
and now he's in the decider match.
Yeah, talk about playing in the comfort zone, right? You're like, well, I accomplished what I aimed for. I came here. No one else is having like high expectations for me. I can just play the game the way I want to. Go home content. You still made it to the decider match. Here you are, and let's look at the map picks. Coda being snatched right away by Kelazhur, but otherwise,
these are the normal maps.
Yeah, straightforward actually for the first time today.
This is fine. They're in the gridiron. They want to see who the better player is to move on to that round of 16. They want that trip to Poland.
I really hate Cactus Valley PvT.
Yeah.
Going anywhere past 2 bases as a Protoss on that map, I find is very, very difficult. It's really hard to go from your main base to your third base, no matter what way you look at it. Other than that, though, the maps are, like you said, very solid, and hopefully we would see, something more cheeky, like some kind of 2-base play coming from Elfi on that
Funny
map.
enough, by the way, Elfi picked Cactus Valley.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
That's
I mean,
so Elfi, though, to be honest.
Yeah, like you were not expecting. First
Players
map,
like, I don't like 4-player maps. It's too random. It's hard to take a third. And Elfi's like, yes, precisely. No third, and it's random. I don't see the issue.
we'll see if that can work out in his favor. We'll definitely get to see that when it is the second map. But we'll have to see who takes the first one, and if it ends by map 2, or if we get to go all the way to Terraform in map 3. Should be an interesting matchup, ladies and gentlemen. One more spot for the round of 16. All right, guys. Well, I mean, we talked about it. Elfi playing comfort zone. Kelazhur, though, overall looking stable. Now, briefed us earlier. Kelazhur, though, perhaps to some extent, some people expected a little bit more from him overall recently. But in his place today, what are we expecting for Season 3 of Kelazhur? Do you think he's going to perform as stable as possible in this game?
Well, what I think is kind of cool is we're at the precipice of finding out the answer to that. Like, I do think on paper, Kelazhur is the better player. He's got the kind of bigger upswing. That being said, we're playing a short best-of-3 in a meaningful match against a guy who, I mean, every time they show Elfi, guys, try to find a pulse, try to find a sweat bead in that picture. You won't. He's as calm, cool, and collected as you can get. And he's dangerous, so it's a fun series in that sense where they're fairly close in skill, probably give advantage to the Brazilian player, but at the same time, it's Elfi's a Protoss player of legendary status for his trickery, for his willingness to do crazy stuff.
All right, well, let's find out. Of course, he kicked off the match against Hydra with a spicy start. Didn't work out in his favor. We'll see if he can pull off something similar this time, or if Kelazhur is going to be just as prepared as he was against Starbuck in the decider match of Group B.
Only one player can make it here to the round of 16 for the first time in their World Championship Series Premier League careers. There's a lot at stake, Roddy. One of these two are going to have a phenomenal evening after this best-of-3.
Absolutely. Are we going to have our first finish or our first Brazilian player in the round of 16? Of course, we had Walmo in the past, but he's not here this season, so it all comes down to Elfi.
All comes down to this man as well, representing Brazil and Root Gaming, of course, Kelazhur, who defeated Starbuck and his Roaches in the lower bracket match to make it to this point.
And played so solid in that series, Nate. He really adapted very well to what he could have potentially faced. He's going to have to do perhaps something similar to this man on the left top side of Coda, of course, hailing from Finland. It is Elfi. Still streams quite a bit of StarCraft. Every now and then I like to tune into his stream. It's very funny because there is never a moment where you tune into Elfi's stream and everything is normal. There's always something that looks slightly different than in most StarCraft 2 games you see.
Yeah, it's a little funny because I was sitting backstage during that last series and I was sitting next to Petraeus and I was just like Mac, does he actually just do this all the time? Like, have you ever been proxy forged gatewayed by Elfi before when you were living in Europe? And he's like, actually, no, most of my games against him were pretty normal. They didn't really feel that out of place, so it's really weird that he has this reputation. I'm like, I guess it's just for ladder, huh? But
it's not just for ladder. There's been so many tournaments. I mean, even going back in the days in 2011, I saw Elfi going for a 2-base 24-minute attack against Stefano on Shakura's plateau with a big mothership, and he managed to
taking a third on Shakura's plateau as a Protoss those days.
Still, though, making a big mothership, making a fleet beacon and a big mothership on 2 bases, like that is Elfi in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's pretty baller.
And most Europeans will definitely say he's crazy. I mean, there's a reason why I was able to call his Gateway Forge before it even happened. Like I already mentioned. Like
you don't get a reputation for that sort of thing for nothing.
Exactly. I've seen him do it before. Now, of course, PvT is a matchup where it's a little bit harder to be that crazy. There are a couple of crazy proxies and cheeses you can throw out there. There is a probe that's right now in a particular spot, but most likely he's just going to hide his probe over here for now. He will wait until, let's say, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. That's when the Reaper is halfway across the map, and that's when you can send your probe into the natural to either be annoying or, oh man, Kelazhur is so on top of things,
Yeah,
right?
he is checking up, and he finds it. So, as a
really well
Terran
done.
player, and the reason why, Roddy, as you mentioned, of course, you want to hide the probe, that Reaper can kill it very quickly, but as a Terran player, you are constantly living in fear that your Reaper steps out and the probe goes into your base and can completely scout you, and then you have to bring the Reaper all the way home to kill it, or it goes out onto the map and roams free.
I mean, there are two options there. I mean, both is the best. Like, first you go into the main base and you want to see is there going to be a factory follow-up or more barracks. And then the second thing you can do with that probe, if the Reaper doesn't kill it, is work on the SCV that's building a command center on the low ground. And Nate, as a Terran player, I'm sure you can attest to the fact
Oh, it's so
how
annoying.
that is.
No, if you pulling an extra SCV off, it's already frustrating enough because
You're like, I'm losing so much money.
Yeah, exactly. You lose so much money. Kelazhur,
Wow.
as this Reaper goes in, he's a pretty greedy build here. Straight to 3 command centers, no fear whatsoever. This is unusual. This is pretty ballsy.
We saw Major try to do this multiple times. I'm not sure if I'm a super big fan of this, because it's extremely likely that elfi is going to go for some very, very serious 2-base aggression. Twilight Console, did it get spotted? Yes, it did. Did he have time to click on it? Maybe not, but maybe he just kind of knows it is there. He's going to go back. He's going to definitely see it this time. Now he knows. We saw the red, or excuse me, green circle around it. So Kelazhur knows that it's going to be a Twilight. So most likely 2 more Rexes go down and 1 Tech Lab will be added very quickly and squeeze out 1-2 Anchor Marauders.
The cool thing about this build is that if the Protoss player doesn't do anything crazy, then you usually get away with it scot-free and life is great. You have an infinite amount of money. You kill the guy pretty easily. But if elfi just goes for 2-gate Blink Stalker, or 2-base Blink Stalker all in, I'm pretty sure he's just going to crush this.
elfi doesn't exactly take his inspiration from Rain, Nate. he takes it from the likes of who were the crazy Protoss?
Hitman, maybe?
Yeah, well, who was the Korean Protoss also? I mean, like MC.
Oh,
in
like
the days.
Arthur.
Arthur, exactly. You know, like category set Arthur, Haas. You know, that's elfi. That's where elfi fits in.
All right.
He does drop a robotics facility as well. That could be because he's still a little bit worried about maybe a factory follow-up.
Because he couldn't get that probe scout.
Exactly. He doesn't know that it's a 3CC build. I think if he knew, he would just drop 6 gateways, Chrono Boost Blink a few more times and go super all in. It actually seems like elfi is aiming for a macro-oriented opening.
Yeah, like a defensive blink.
Yeah, as he takes both assimilators in his natural. And this is going to be really good for Kelazhur, because everything you want as a Terran player is just Protoss, stay on your side of the map. Don't bother, don't even quickly scout me, and don't go for any crazy 2-base super all-in. And then eventually my economy is going to be so much better than yours.
Yeah, Kelazhur is bringing in a lot of minerals. I'm a little bit surprised that he's decided to take the rest of his gases so late. He's still actually just on 1 refinery, so getting up his factory and building Marauders are actually really slowing down the rest of his tech. So he's not progressing forward too quickly.
I like the missile turrets as well. Oh my god, he's so paranoid. elfi is really playing to his image over here with his macro-oriented opening. Look at this. Missile turret for DTs. Bunker going up in the main base for, crazy Blink Stalker all in that he would blink into the main. Kelazhur is a little paranoid. Can't blame him, because we are the first ones to say if he would die to an all-in, oh come on man, you're playing against elfi, please be prepared.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And that could also be why he delayed those gases, get that little bit of extra mineral income so that he can spend the money that he needs on those missile turrets, were it, some variety, a Blink Stalker or a Dark Templar push.
Could pretty much salvage that bunker immediately, and that's exactly what he does as soon as he scouts the main. Spots the forge, spots the robotics bay, and he knows what he's up against. This is the first time in the game that elfi actually knows what he's up against, as he is going to spot that overcommand right now, and elfi is not a happy camper. On this moment he looks at this, he's like, oh no, you've got so much money.
That's a very fast 3rd command center indeed, and that means a lot of money for Kelazhur. The only thing that works to elfi's benefit is that he did scare him into delaying his tech a little bit. That means that the Colossus won't be met with a crazy amount of resistance as far as Vikings go, because the starport has only just started.
He's getting a 2nd forge as well, so elfi is truly going to try to sing this one out. Just make a bunch of Colossus, go up to 3 bases. It's very unlikely you're going to make a 2-base attack of double forge.
Ouch. Losing the observer to the missile turret, a bit unfortunate there.
I am very familiar with that feeling, Nate.
It feels so good.
I don't think I've ever had an observer make his way across the map and not fly into the missile turret. I'm just, That's what I do. It's a trademark play.
You know, as bad as that could be for the game result, that's actually pretty impressive that you could always find the missile turret.
Yeah, no, it's like my oracles are magnets for widow mines, and my observers they feel very attracted to missile turrets.
Your oracles can break the game by making widow mine range 10. You know, that's impressive in and of itself, Roddy.
Elfi has one more observer. It could be another scan going down by Kelazhur, as he's been pretty on top of his observer sniping. And there we go. One more scan will go down. It's very nice when you open up triple orbital command. Plenty of scans to burn. Won't hurt you that much, and you know it's going to hurt the Protoss. That's a very cool SimCity, by the way, by Kelazhur.
Yeah, if you try to warp Prism in the outer edge of that base, you have to run so far around to get to the mineral line.
Okay, so not a whole lot has happened yet. So you're probably watching this game as a neutral spectator, and you're like, this seems pretty even, right? And then you realize, you look at the numbers. Kelazhur is up 15 workers. He's up 40 supply. If you just tune in, Nate, you would almost assume that widow mines have killed like 27 workers during this game, and that's why...
Not the case at all.
Yeah, no workers have died. This is just the power of triple orbital command. This is the reason why Harstem yesterday in his WCS matches went for 2 base Colossus all-ins against this opening, because this is an opening that's very hard to play against if you have a passive opening like Elfi.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy. You end up in a position where you allow the Terran to just ramp up so far off that economy. There's just 2 sentries. Like, this army...
One
that's
medevac.
one way to throw this position away.
Oh my
Kelazhur's whole
God.
army gets force fielded right outside.
Wow, that's a bunch of supply that just went down immediately.
I honestly think if Kelazhur's whole army was there, unloaded, and he just spread it out, he might have even been able to just kill the Colossi right there. Like, his army was pretty big, but he pretty much got caught in the worst possible position right there.
I like the units lost resource tab right now. 300 against 2,000. But don't get fooled. Kelazhur has been very rich throughout the game, so he can take a beating like this. But don't do it again, because that's where things get very dicey, especially because he doesn't have a second starport. There are no Vikings on the way, so he's just working with bio units. So you got to make these bio units pay for themselves.
Yeah, and I think Elfi, after a push like that, being able to defend that and just clean up so many units for free, basically, with 3 Colossi and a 3rd one on the way, and his +2 armor finishing, like, this is actually a really nice spot to be in. This drop is quite large, but this probe's about to see
Can we take a look at Elfi's vision real quick? Okay, now he's actually having slightly better vision.
No.
He could snipe another medevac potentially now. Units will be unloaded, but he just has
the aggressive blink into the other men, and Marines and Marauders actually catches everything. If he had concussive shell, he could have gotten so many more of those Stalkers. That was... Well, that was like I was like really worried for Kelazhur, and then I realized it was actually turned out to be a phenomenal bait.
What I really just hate is Elfi has no observers at all.
Wow.
Recall, that's a good recall. I really like it a lot, because otherwise you would have thought end up losing a lot. He's gonna get 2 medevacs over here. What a great recall by Elfi. That's the play of the day so far, Nate.
At the same time, he stims into that 3rd base, trying to pick off a few probes, gets a Zealot that was warped in. Getting this Nexus would be cash money for Kelazhur, as he still has those Marines and Marauders in the medevacs to the left side. He could try to drop back in this 3rd base. It looks like he might be able to kill it, Kev.
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to get it. Colossi a little bit late to the party. Not a whole lot of HP left on this Nexus, and there we go. Kelazhur does snipe this bait. Oh my God, another... No, this time he's not going to get the full medevac, but still a great interception in the end.
Yeah, another drop comes in. The reinforcing drop with Marauders focusing on those Stalkers, but
my
geez Louise,
God.
so many men dying in the air.
Look at the units lost resource tab. This is insane. 2,300 against 6,100. And Elfi has taken a supply lead in this game. I mean, triple orbital is good, Nate, and you can afford to lose a couple units here and there. But this is insane, losing 5k resources more. And this time he did see the drop leave. Elfi, he's out for blood one more time.
He sees the meta. Oh, goodness, Siri. No more full medevac. Stalkers are right there. He's
God,
gonna
you're kidding me.
30 supply.
This
He's
is
gonna die for
ridiculous.
free. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? Look at the units lost resource tab now, Nate. It's just getting worse and worse.
This is brutal. I have to close my eyes. I can't watch this.
I can't believe. Okay, now there are Vikings chasing Colossus. Well, there's 5 Colossus. How many Vikings are we currently looking at? What a game! I can't believe we're actually watching this game. Kelazhur has a dream opening. 9 medevacs have died, and most of them had very precious cargo inside of them.
Oh my God!
26 Marauders and 50 Marines.
No.
I have never seen a game of StarCraft like this, where you just keep professional game.
I mean, he's trying to go full bomber here. Just load them all up.
Just bit by bit, though. Like, you know, Bomber does all 8 at once, and Kelazhur does it 2, 3, 2, 1.
Baby steps, Roddy. Baby steps.
One hallucinated Colossus as well. This elfi still has to be careful though. If he gets flanked, there are not a whole lot of force fields in his army. He does have great upgrades, of course. Let's not forget about that double force that elfi has been working with. Gets 2 more Vikings, why not, you know?
So many free units.
God, have you ever seen Blinkstalkers being as effective as they have been in this game?
Only
Right
my
now,
games.
Right now, every Zerg player says yes, every single game, Roddy. But I mean, sniping this many medevacs, what a game. What a performance so far. This is a different elfi,
You're too
man.
happy, Roddy. You're enjoying this too much.
Yeah, because this is
It
so
breaks my heart.
This is so unique, Nate. This is very, very unique.
Yeah, this is certainly an out there game. Oh boy.
Did Kelazhur accidentally queue up upgrades in the same eBay?
I'm just.
Why does he work on 3-2 now?
Oh, because you start with 1 engineering bay. You don't
So
go.
he went to 2-1 all the way on 1?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering. I didn't catch the timing of the second eBay.
It's very interesting. Like Kelazhur still had the money to get maxed out again, but now Archons come into play.
9 Vikings against 6 Colossus. I don't know, Nate. This isn't looking all that good for your fellow Terran brother right now.
Yeah, this is definitely not a fun place to be for Kelazhur right now, and especially considering that normally we would say the Protoss has more workers and the Terran army is bigger. Not the case this game. Kelazhur has more workers, so his army is much smaller than it should be.
He has 12 Vikings now, but one of them will get picked up immediately. 2 actually, so just 10 Vikings remaining. A couple of SCVs will be put as well. There is no storm, so there is always hope for this Terran army. Colossus will start soaking up a couple shots over here. 1 Colossus will go down, but this Protoss army looks fierce. These Archons going to town as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're shredding absolutely everything. The Colossi are starting to drop a bit. The focus fire on the Vikings wasn't perfect, but it doesn't need to be. The Archons are going to continue to march forward. 2 Colossi still stand, and pretty much everything's dead for Kelazhur.
This is a very good game by elfi. If you compare this game to the PvTs that he played against Uthermal, there's no way you would ever say this is the same player that we're watching over here. elfi really showing up in this game. Didn't even have that many observers on the map. Just caught every single medevac. Right now took a 40 supply lead. Has great upgrades. You know, it just is everything. 3-3 is on the way. Doesn't have. I think he even has a Templar Archives. He just doesn't resort Storm yet. But 4th base on the way. He's ravaging all these SCVs, and I have no idea what Kelazhur is supposed to do over here.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do, Roddy. He threw away too much supply off the back of what you could have said was a build order win. Kelazhur had a build order win, and he threw it. He threw it really, really far.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can definitely afford to lose a couple of medevacs and a couple bio units here and there. He even sniped the 3rd base. That was so promising. But then, after he lost 2 medevacs full of bio, he decided to lose 5 more. And that's where things just got a little crazy. And the Colossus count went completely untouched throughout the entirety of this game. Compliments to elfi for that. Always had his Colossus in the correct positions. And now he's sniping Vikings. Time Warp's going down. And you know, this one is over. The writing is on the wall. elfi will definitely take game number 1 on Coda in, I would say, spectacular fashion. I've casted a lot of games of StarCraft, Nate, but it happens very rarely that I see that many medevacs full of units being sniped.
That one's a Jimmy Rustler for sure for Kelazhur. I mean, if I was him, if I was allowed to just ask for like just a minute just to take a quick walk, I think I'd want it. That's a tough one.
Knowing you would ask a minute to uninstall the game and then reinstall it. It's be like, I'm starting from scratch.
Yeah, just make a new battle account. Everything. So like, I never want to play with an account that got wrecked that hard.
This was one of the good moments for Kelazhur, where he did unload a couple of these units, but then it just backfired. This recall, by the way, what a play. Can we please, this is going to be awesome, right, if we can actually see that, because that was such a phenomenal play by elfi. The best play of the day, by far. What a move.
Yeah, he comes in and then catches the 2 full retreating medevacs, and
he's going to get the other 2 too as well later today.
This was actually just disgusting. Like, and you mentioned it earlier, he gets the Nexus snipe, and you'd think as a Terran player, like, okay, this is still going really well. Kelazhur has a lot of money banked up at this point. He's adding on barracks, but then 2 more medevacs go. He brings a 3rd medevac down and snipes a couple more stalkers, but he's losing so many. And you also brought up, you know, not having that super fast 2nd starport.
Now he picks up these units, and one more medevac will get sniped. On such moments, and this is where it gets really painful. Nate, close your eyes.
I'm not looking at this again. I can't take it.
If you play Terran as a main race and you're under 16, you're not allowed to watch this broadcast right now, because it's about to get very vile as all these units get picked up as well.
Oh my god.
Oh, what a game.
I can't. Oh man. I could go my whole life without ever seeing that again. That was a Terran nightmare.
Man, a true Cinderella story unfolding in front of our own eyes as elfi, what didn't make it into Premier League at first, lost 0-3 against Utermo in a very one-sided series. Utermo was all over the place, and elfi was just not on the same level that day. But unfortunately, Utermo was sick, couldn't make it here. elfi was his replacement, and today we're seeing a whole new elfi, man. He's playing way better than he did in the previous weeks I've seen him.
Yeah, what a start, really, to this series, and to think that, you know, now we're on Cactus Valley. He has an opportunity to close it out right here in advance for the first time to the round of 16, and, you know, it's like he wasn't even supposed to be here today, Roddy.
That's that Denmark story of 1992, Nate.
Wasn't even supposed to be here.
They weren't supposed to be there, but they won.
The dream. It's the dream, Kev. We're loaded into Cactus Valley, potentially the last map of the day here. You're watching the World Championship Series Premier League Season 3 in the bottom left. We have the red Protoss player currently up 1-0, elfi, who really likes killing medevacs and has generated probably a couple thousand gallons or liters of Terran tears today. Everyone watching this broadcast.
A lot of pressure on this man right now, spawning in the right bottom side of Cactus Valley. I know he expects himself to make it out. It is Kelazhur, representing Root Gaming, a player that definitely holds himself to high standards as well. I saw him at Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen. That was his second Intel Extreme Masters. The second time he made it into the main event of this. The first time was Sao Paulo in 2014, and he was pretty disappointed. He was pretty down after he lost to XY, who is a very strong Terran, by the way, not to be underestimated. Just because we don't know him doesn't mean that he's not good, because XY even got himself in good positions against Parting. So there was no shame in losing to that player, but Kelazhur was still very down. He's like, that shouldn't have happened, you know. I'm supposed to do better. He works hard, and I know that he expects himself to make it out of this group, and it would definitely be a devastating loss for Kelazhur if he goes out here against elfi.
Yeah, at this point he just needs to really just tighten things up. We have seen so far that bio play out of him. I don't know that a mind drop is really what you want to go for on this map.
I mean, the thing is right now, if I'm Kelazhur, Nate, I'm worried because I just had a phenomenal build order and I threw it. What am I going to do over here? Am I going to play the same? elfi will most likely 2-base all in me. Will I go for a mind drop? What if he deflects it and counterattacks very hard and I take a lot of economic damage like that? I think if I'm Kelazhur, I'm going to go for the safest build possible. Reaper into CC on the low ground into 2 more racks. And I'm not saying it's the universal best build order, but I think it's the safest against a player like elfi.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. I chatted with Kelazhur a little bit about the build orders, you know, and
wow, Terran Brothers uniting, huh?
Yeah. I was curious because I was thinking about as well the fact that there wasn't supposed to be a Protoss in this group when it was drawn, you know, prior to Uthermal getting sick, and Kelazhur's like, well, you know, it just seems like playing with bio is a pretty good way to go in the early game, have a lot of Marines. I didn't quite realize that he meant 3 command centers when he said that, but I actually like those builds quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Like, I think it's still very underrated. It's not something you should do every game, because then we saw
what happened. It's good to mix in.
Exactly. We saw what happened between Harstem and Major. Harstem is just like, oh, cool, I'm going to march across the web with my Colossus. You don't have access to Vikings. There's not a whole lot you can do. But throwing it in every now and then, especially because a lot of Protoss players keep their observers at home at first, you know, for that potential mind drop. And here we go, 2 more Rexes going down after that CC. I like this build by Kelazhur. This is just the safest build to go for. Of course, it's nice to have some map presence with a quick starport, you know, drop a mine, try to kill some workers. But builds like that, you often have very few units to work with, and there are some crazy Protoss counters. Like, do that against Liu Bao, and you die in 7 minutes because he's always there on the other side of the map to just kill you. And that's a lot harder when you go up against 3 Rexes. So I like the build order choice here by Kelazhur a lot.
Now the Reaper tries to get in, see a little bit more. That Stargate is on the way in the southeast corner of elfi's base, and any Terran player, I'll be a Terran player and tell you, you do not want to be caught off guard by a fast Oracle. And, you know, they also shut down very well any of those mind drop type plays that we were discussing as well.
That absolutely goes for every race, though. When you play Protoss or Zerg, you don't want to have an Oracle in your line and not being ready for it. Because if there's one unit, the Oracle is still going to kill 7, 8, 9 workers. You know, somewhere else. I mean, we shouldn't underestimate elfi either. elfi has the reputation as a crazy player, but just recently he did take out Apocalypse in the series 2-0. Unfortunately, he lost the Remax at Aces Rock, and the Remax Apocalypse was able to win 2-0. But still, taking out a player like Apoc 2-0, that means that you know something about PvT. You're not going to be able to do something like that if you're not good in this matchup.
Now here's where things get interesting though, Roddy, because we're seeing a little bit of a mix-up, right? This concussive shell push gives Kelazhur an opportunity to do some damage. However, he's being a little bit greedy with this. Normally, and we saw Major do this yesterday against Harstem, you want to get that missile turret up as you make the push out. Unfortunately, for him, he's pushed out before those turrets, so this Oracle could get in, and if you deny that turret, you could get a lot of SCV kills.
Yeah, there's, let's say, 10 seconds left on this missile turret. It's not ready yet. Here we go. elfi should just right-click on a bunch of workers. He could have also gone for the Marines. Now more Marines will enter.
Don't want to lose the Oracle, though. Very expensive unit, so it's going to head back. Here comes Kelazhur's push. The Mothership Core is there with plenty of energy. You want to get those Stalkers. They're not really exposed.
This Void, I think it's very difficult without Stim. I don't mind. Oh, no, don't do that, elfi. Wow, that's great for Kelazhur. That's a massive pickup. That accidental Oracle snipe.
You know,
you love it.
Things that are flying in this best of 3 so far have had a really bad time.
Yes. Don't become a pilot, guys.
Yeah.
Become a pro gamer instead. Much better for your jokes. It's a new generation, Nate.
Yeah, man.
Lawyers, pilots, nah. Pro gamers and tournament admins. That's the way
Play,
to go.
play video games, spam memes, the dream.
Factory going down pretty quick, Robobay. Kelazhur would love to poke in one more time as soon as Photon Overcharge expires. But, you know, that's going to be difficult because by then there will be access to a new Photon Overcharge. You want to be careful though. He doesn't want to throw away all these units. I like these force fields, just like a couple units. What? Okay.
Killed a Zealot.
I take it back.
That force field was pretty random.
That was the most random force field I've seen in WCS. Where did it go?
He got the Marauder, which means the Stalkers can do that little bit of micro. Oh, another one comes up. Got to be careful. A lot of aggressive posturing by these Bile forces.
I'm just a jinx, Nate. I was like, he drops 2 great force fields. I'm like, I love the force fields. And then the most random force field in history goes down. I would make a GIF out of that force field. That's
Oracle,
how good it was.
Oracle picked the wrong guy to bully. The Marauder's a bit tougher. Oh, poor Marine does get caught. Another one.
Oh yeah, he remade the Oracle. That's nice.
Yeah.
I can dig it.
Just don't fly into 6 Marines.
Especially not when you have like 10 HP left. This is actually pretty well done by elfi. It's kind of annoying for Kelazhur.
He's dropping 2 forges too, so he's actually saying right now, I'm okay with being locked in for a little bit if you want to be this aggressive.
And I want to go back to what Huck mentioned at the analysis desk. Cactus Valley is a map where it's very difficult to go up to 3 bases, and it's very funny because every single time I say that, I see a Protoss just defending everything with ease, but I am totally on the same page as Huck. I think it's very hard to defend all 3 locations, so I'm a big fan of double forge over here for elfi. You know, just... And by now he doesn't have Photon Overcharge anymore, but he has 1 Colossus, so he's going to be fine. Just stick it out on 2 bases for a while. You can build more workers as well. Take your 3rd base a little bit later, but by the time it finishes up, you're going to completely saturate it. And
that Colossus is stepping away from the Zealots. I mean, he has Stim.
Yeah.
This isn't like if the Colossus somehow, you know, if that giraffe meandered off on its own, could get picked off by that small bio chunk.
I really like how this game is going for elfi so far, though, Nate. Like, I feel that almost everything has gone his way, other than losing that first Oracle. But overall, I think he's very pleased with how this is going. Of course, elfi is aware of the opening that Kelazhur went for, because of the Oracle scouting and also the amount of bio units that were out. And Kelazhur is a very aggressive Terran, and it's very hard. Like, in general, I'm not a big fan of super aggressive drops against the 2-base Protoss, because how likely is it that your drops will do a whole lot of damage?
Highly unlikely, Rotterdam.
How likely is it? Highly unlikely. I like it, Nate.
It doesn't happen too often. The medevacs are going to land inside of elfi's base. Kelazhur trying to make something happen in this scenario. He's down 0-1, needs to get a lead in this game, but that Colossus is here with the force. Is he going to go for it? No, steps back. Blink is not ready yet, so the Stalkers can't chase, but get something. You got a pylon.
I want to say that I do very like, or I like it a lot that Kelazhur is... I like it a lot that Kelazhur is going up to 3 CCs before Rex number 4 and 5, because you know that elfi is going to be rather defensive as well on this map. So just focus on your economy and delay those extra buy units a little bit later, because once again, it's so hard to be very effective with drops against the 2-base Protoss. So just focus on economy for now and worry about potentially dropping a little bit later. Oh, don't do it, man.
Oh, no, not again!
This is like, there's almost no reason for Kelazhur to do this. I don't really understand why he's even trying. Like, as soon as he's going up to 3 bases, which is now, this is probably when you want to try to make some plays happen, either with bio units on the ground running into the natural, or dropping into the main, or bio units running on the ground from the north side, trying to snipe that nexus. But not when elfi's like just on 2 bases. It's so difficult.
Oh, man. Bad day to be a medevac. Can't handle this, Roddy.
Elfi's up 14 supply while going double
Protoss,
forge.
yeah, ahead in supply going double forge. Like, this is the dream for Protoss. Like, how many Vikings are there? The second starport's not even done yet.
No, it's not done. I kind of feel that Kelazhur is setting himself up for an SCV pool. He doesn't really have a whole lot of SCVs to pull, but I kind of feel that's what he's going for, man. He's not building any more SCVs. Second starport, he's probably going to squeeze out 6, 7, 8, 9 Vikings, then have 2, 3 more on the way. Oh my god, if he ends up losing this, Nate, then it's absolute curtains, even for his SCV pool. He's going back to making a few SCVs now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't pull.
This pylon sees the drop, he scans, he's looking for where the army's going. A few units are making their way towards the north side, and he's just going to go straight into the main base.
Okay, this time he at least knows where the army is, so I can actually appreciate this drop, Nate. There are no Stalkers. 2 Zealots are being warped in. I'm not sure how these Zealots are supposed to save the day.
Those Zealots are not going to actually kill everything.
Good aggression here. I like this a lot. You know, doing a little bit on the north side.
Oh!
Finds a Colossus.
Going for the Colossus.
Not going to get it, though.
No.
Just a little bit
trying to get the Nexus. Needs to be careful. There's a lot of Stalkers here. Loading up will mean certain death for those medevacs. I don't want to see any more full medevacs die.
Well, he gets the empty one.
Woo.
Okay, Kelazhur finally gets something that goes a little bit his way, but he lost a lot of bio units on the north side, only killing 6 workers. And look at the supply, Nate. Elfi is up 21 supply.
Yeah, Elfi's still killing it, but okay.
No, he's definitely killing it.
I'm just glad a medevac pilot made it out.
2-2 upgrades
That's
finishing
a victory
up.
for me.
Look at the amount of gas. I wouldn't mind it at all if Elfi drops the Templar Archives right now. And
Make
I feel,
a bunch of Archons, Zealots, and push.
Or, I mean, he could even push right now because he's, of course, aware. He's like, hey, man, you're losing a lot of bio units throughout the entirety of this game. How many Vikings? We're looking at 4 right now with 4 more in the way.
That's not going to cut it.
Oh, my God. I mean, well, it's doable. If he gets Colossus snipes, it's doable. But it's going to be extremely difficult to pick up these units.
Not with those force fields, it's not. Pulling him back again. One Viking gets snapped up. The Stalkers blink forward once more. Needs to target down those Vikings. Another one gets knocked down. 4 Colossi still standing. 3 Colossus standing. Bit of frustration on Kelazhur's face as Elfi pushes into the natural to go on to the round of 16 in the World Championship Series Season 3 Premier League. I don't think Kelazhur can stop him anymore. Face of defeat, Roddy.
Absolutely. For the first time in Elfi's career, coming in as a last-minute replacement, he is going to make it to the round of 16. And he did it in a spectacular fashion, I would almost say. What a solid, super solid, awesome PvT series by him. I can barely point out any mistakes that Elfi made. I think he played so clean, so map-aware, and so many medevac snipes. GG. I think it's very well-deserved. Surprising, but very well-deserved.
Yeah, everything just snowballed out of control when those medevac snipes started to happen in game number 1 after that lead. But, big congratulations to Elfi making it his first round of 16 appearance and off the back of replacing Thermal.
Yep, definitely a Cinderella story right here for Elfi. I'm curious to see how far he can take it, how far can he go. But of course, I want to hear as well soon from the man himself. He's going to go over to the desk. I mean, that must feel so great, coming in as a last-minute replacement. I actually had that once, you know. Just the only thing, pretty much, I have a 1 of value in Warcraft 3. I was a replacement as well, kind of last minute, for a Russian player who didn't get his visa. Then I went and I won the tournament. It felt, you know, it's like you don't expect something like that to happen. Then you get a chance and you're like, I'll go for it. And then the best case scenario happens. Like, Elfi must be in Cloud9 right now.
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty awesome. The experience must be great for him to be able to do something like that, especially since it's just, you know, it's like hard to reiterate like how big of a deal it is. It's like, you know, he's in the round of 16. You know, he's probably like, it's like, man, the flu is pretty nice this time of year, huh?
Now, he came in this morning as well, and the first thing Elfi said to me, he's like, "Hi, Rotti, you think I'm going to win a map?" I was like, well, that depends on your practice. He really came in with almost no expectations, and he's not a player that lies about this. There are some people who play a lot, and then they say like, you know, I haven't been playing that much. Elfi's not the type of guy. If he plays a lot, he's going to tell you. If he doesn't, well, I really think he came in with no expectations, but let's just hear from the man himself as he's on the desk with Chobra.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And yeah, I think right away, congratulations are in order for you, Elfi. I think I just want to ask first thing. You look so calm the whole day. You're just like, I'm just here to play some StarCraft. But how is it now that you've secured a spot in the round of 16?
Well, I'm quite speechless at the moment. When I came here, I had practiced only 5 hours last 2 weeks, so I wasn't expecting anything. But then I remember after the first game I won, that hey, every tournament where I went and I practiced a lot, I was thinking like I will do great. I lost, and the tournaments where I did good, like the IEM Guangzhou, I was second. That tournament I was also okay, let's go there, but I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, definitely worked out in your favor. I think, some of it, I mean, you looked so comfortable on stage just playing every game, taking it as they come. As you just mentioned, I mean, you didn't have too much time to practice coming into the Premier League. So what was your mindset today? I mean, we heard Roddy saying that you were kind of joking, like, oh, well, maybe I can take one map. You were talking about that earlier. But as the games went on, as you got closer, like, for instance, in this match, was it a little bit more nervous because you were like, oh, I'm actually really close to make it to the round of 16?
No, I wasn't nervous at all, and when I came here my goal was actually to win one map. So after I won the first set, I was really surprised. I was like, okay, I won this. I have nothing to panic anymore. Everyone is already thinking I'm doing better what I should do. I have nothing to... I just could play so calmly. Yeah. I had nothing to lose.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line of it. I mean, of course, Chris, we were pleasantly surprised watching some of these matches from Elfi.
Yeah, we were expecting you to cheese, to be honest. Especially after you thermal, the double proxy gates, I was expecting something crazy. You played pretty safe, macro, defensive, picked off Metavacs, went double forge. Surprising, but fun. And then on top of that, I feel like you not having that pressure, not having expectations, played into that because you just, everything after that, you're like, I'm here, this is fun, this is good enough, and you played really well.
Yeah, I mean, Elfi, walk us through the games a little bit. I mean, at any point, were you like, oh, maybe do I need to cheese a little bit more just to scrape by, or were you just saying, you know what, just play where I am, see how far it goes?
Well, the first game, I thought I was behind in the start. If I remember right, he did good harassment in the start.
Yeah.
But that was the deciding point when he started dropping. He started dropping so late, and I had still few observers. He thought I didn't have any, but I saw every single drop. Few times I defended it a little bit bad, but he lost so much units doing that. And meanwhile, his other army was fighting against my Colossus Charlotte army, and it's really hard for Terran to micro 2 places at the time. So at that point, I started getting the lead.
You say Terran, they have a hard time microing 2 places at once. Is that a Terran-specific thing? Or?
Well, it depends simply on the situation. If you have two places with Blink Stalkers, that's really hard to make the Blink Stalking work. But in that situation where I can just put all in with my Colossus and Charlotte to fight his small army while I micro my Stalkers.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this highlight that we saw just a moment ago. I mean, you chose that. You made that quick decision. I got to recall back, and then you got the 2 Metavacs, and they came back. You still had your Stalkers in base. I mean, was it just a split second as soon as you saw it? I was like, all right, got to go back and defend. Was it a little bit preemptive? Were you expecting it? What went through your head there?
Well, when I went to the situation, I was hoping that I would be able to stop the Medivacs from getting my base, maybe even snipe both of them. But then he got in. Then I was like, okay, I have to recall, even if my third base will be totally vulnerable, and it died to only one Medivac dropping. But I think it was worth it. He lost so much units in my main base. I only lost some economy, then I could put some pressure on him.
Yeah, it definitely worked out really well. We were all, I mean, it was such a moment where you just recall back, you were like, all right, boom, 2 Metavacs gone, and then continue to rack up to 9 Metavacs. What a game for you from the Protoss side. It must have felt really good. Well, once again, congratulations, Elfi, moving on to the round of 16. We'll be seeing you in Poland, man, and you do take that 2nd seed in Group B.
I actually got a quick question. You said you didn't practice much for this. Now that you're going into the round of 16, I mean, we've talked personally how much you've practiced. Are you going to practice hard for this round of 16, or are you just going to go into it with the same style?
Well, I think I will be practicing a little bit. I actually started 2 days before coming here. I started practicing. I was thinking I will start practicing like 2 hours, 3 hours a day, because there is going to be one Finnish tournament, and I'm going to go to the DreamHack Stockholm. So now I have one more tournament to practice. Hopefully I will be practicing more what I was first going to.
Sorry, one more question.
No, yeah, for sure.
Elfi's a guy I've known for a long time. So did you warm up with some cat videos today or no?
Actually not. Only the pictures. My friend who has my cat, he was putting the picture on Twitter that he was watching my games, and I tried to get the Skype conversation, but it didn't work out.
Oh,
I wanted to see my cat before the matches.
Oh, well, hey, you got the victory, so I'm sure it all worked out in the end. Everyone's going to be happy about that one for you. So congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a quick review of what happened today to round out Group B and how Hydra and Elfi made it to the round of 16. We started with Elfi and Starwin. As Elfi was telling us, he took that first match that put him in the comfort zone. Did get taken down by Hydra, but he was able to play his heart out against Kelazhur. Kelazhur gets knocked down by Hydra first sting. He still looked really well composed and ready to go against Starbuck. But Chris, it just wasn't enough. And as we just mentioned, and we talked about it with Elfi, like he played a standard game and he outright just won against Kelazhur.
Yeah, and we saw that at the end of the match. I feel so bad for
Oh,
Diego.
man. Yeah.
I've been in that spot, and it obviously showed in his face too. I think he was expecting to, win that match, and not doing that. He was very, very.
I mean, you could
disappointed.
tell after game one, like I was actually really impressed when you saw him just like shake his head a little bit, but he was like,
Yeah.
all right, game two, here we go. But after he lost the match, you could see the pain kind of seep back through after he lost all those medevacs, and when he knew, he was just letting it
He knew it was
slip.
over, but he was
Yeah.
still in the game collecting himself. He wasn't ready
Oh,
to
man.
quit yet, and then even afterwards.
Heartbreaking moment, because again, for all players, of course, there was so much on the line, especially for these guys trying to make a first-time history here for WCS for themselves and for him to represent Brazil. Not going to happen this season, but of course, much luck to him in the future seasons coming up in 2016. But for now, for 2015 WCS, we're halfway through the first set of groups. Groups A and B are decided, but ladies and gentlemen, we have more to go. If you would like to come join us in the studio, go ahead, type !tickets in the chat as you're watching the stream. You'll be able to find out more information on how to get your tickets, how to get here to the venue, and hopefully we'll see you here on Saturday for Group C.